Let us in, please, Billie. We are here because this is stolen land, Billie, and we think we should be given access to your quite lovely $3 million mansion.
So Billie Eilish tried to make a statement at the Grammys, and instead she may have opened the biggest mess possible. Reporters showed up at her house. Bill Maher told celebrities to either give the land back or stop talking. And now people are asking questions that no one in Hollywood wants to answer out loud. This is one of those stories where the details really matter. The internet noticed everything, and the backlash came faster and harder than anyone predicted. Here is the moment that started it all. When Billie accepted her Grammy, she repeated a phrase that has become very common in activist spaces, saying that no one is illegal on stolen land. The room applauded loudly. Other celebrities stood up, people nodded along. The clip spread across social media almost instantly. But instead of fading out like most award show speeches, this one stayed, because people started asking a very uncomfortable question. If no one is illegal on stolen land, does that rule also apply to the land you personally own? Or is it just something you say on stage? That question turned into action almost overnight. A news crew showed up at Billie's Los Angeles home, standing outside her gates and pointing out the cameras, the fencing, and the clear message that this was private property. The contrast could not have been sharper. On stage, borders do not matter. At home, borders are tall, locked, and watched closely. And that is when this stopped being about one comment and became about hypocrisy, wealth, and whether celebrities actually live by the rules they talk about. Then Bill Maher stepped in, and honestly, that is when this story really exploded. He went straight for Hollywood, calling out Democrats, award shows, and celebrity culture for what he described as fake guilt with no real action behind it. He did not attack Billie alone, but she became the clearest example. His message was blunt and easy to understand. Either give the land back or stop talking about it. And when someone on the left says that out loud, people listen in a very different way.
And finally, new rule, memo to Democrats. If you ever want to win an election again, the absolute most important first step is stop doing this.
No one is illegal on stolen land.
Yeah, I don't know if we're still saying cringe. But if we are, that's this.
What made this hit even harder was that it was not framed as right versus left. It was framed as real life versus empty talking points. Maher was not arguing history or policy. He was talking about consistency. If you say land is stolen, then owning it matters. And once that idea entered the conversation, it changed how people heard Billie's speech, because now it was no longer abstract. It was personal, it was physical, and it had a front gate with a lock on it. And just when it looked like this would stay in the world of viral clips and late-night jokes, another twist dropped that made people stop and wonder if this was turning serious in a way no one expected. So let's slow this down and walk through how all of this happened, because the timeline matters more than people think. The Grammys happen. Billie Eilish wins. She walks on stage and, in a moment clearly meant to show support and moral clarity, she says that no one is illegal on stolen land. It is a line meant to challenge immigration laws and push people to think differently. In that room, it worked exactly as intended. People clapped, cheered, and stood up in support. End of story, right? Not even close. Within hours, the clips were everywhere online. Some people praised her for speaking up and using her platform. Others rolled their eyes and said, celebrities love statements that sound deep but cost them nothing. But things really shifted when critics pointed out something very clear and very hard to ignore. Billie owns extremely expensive property in Los Angeles. Property with gates, fences, security cameras, and privacy walls. So people started asking, if all land is stolen and no one is illegal, how does that work when someone shows up at your gate? That question moved from online jokes to real-world action when a reporter showed up at her house. Cameras rolled, the gates stayed shut, the security systems were, easy to spot. The reporter made the irony obvious, saying that if everyone belongs on stolen land, then stopping by for a cup of coffee should not be a problem. This was not subtle. It was meant to provoke a reaction, and it did exactly that. What made the footage spread was not cruelty or harassment. It was the visuals. Huge metal gates, security cameras watching everything, a clear line between what was said publicly and how life is lived privately. No laws were broken, no lines were crossed, but the image alone said everything people needed to see. This was no longer just a theory or a slogan. It was a real border protecting a real mansion. Then Bill Maher weighed in, and that pushed this story into a much larger debate. On his show, he called out award ceremonies for opening events with land acknowledgments while continuing to live comfortably on that same land. His tone was sharp and direct. He called it cringe. He said either give the land back or stop pretending your words mean something. And again, this was not coming from the political right. This was someone on the left saying, enough already. Once Maher framed it that way, everything shifted. The applause at the Grammys started to look less like bravery and more like group behavior. It raised a bigger question that people could not shake. Are these speeches about justice, or are they about feeling good in rooms where everyone already agrees with you? And just when it seemed like this would stay as talk, jokes, and online debates, something unexpected happened that made the whole situation feel legally messy in a way no celebrity wants to deal with. This is where the internet did what it always does and pushed everything even further. Social media split almost instantly into sides. One side argued that Billie's words were symbolic, that no one truly expects celebrities to give up their homes, and that critics were missing the point on purpose. The other side pushed back hard and fast. Their argument was simple. If it is only symbolic, then stop treating it like moral truth. People began sharing clips side by side. Billie on stage saying no one is illegal, followed immediately by footage of her locked gates and security cameras. The captions almost wrote themselves. Some were sarcastic jokes, some were openly angry, others were disappointed, because there is something especially frustrating about someone with endless money telling regular people how borders should not exist. Then Native groups were pulled into the conversation, which added another layer. Some people said land acknowledgements feel empty when they are not followed by action. Others said it was unfair to use Indigenous history as a weapon against one pop star. That debate heated up quickly, because no one wanted to speak for tribes they do not belong to, and no one wanted to be seen as ignoring history either. Things escalated again when reports surfaced that a law firm had offered, either seriously or symbolically, to help Native tribes reclaim land based on celebrities openly admitting they live on stolen land. To be clear, this was not a confirmed eviction. It was symbolic and meant to make a point. But even as symbolism, that is not something any public figure wants attached to their name. Then conservative figures jumped in, including Ted Cruz, who pointed out what they saw as anti-American messaging coming from Hollywood. He questioned why entertainers clap at ideas that suggest the country itself is not legitimate while still enjoying all the benefits that come with it. That clip spread quickly because it fit perfectly into a larger debate about entertainment, politics, and power. What stood out was that not everyone defending Billie was actually defending the statement itself. Some fans said she is young and repeating language she grew up hearing online. Others said her intent mattered and that she did not mean harm. But intent does not erase impact, and the impact here was that people felt talked down to by someone living behind walls they will never afford. As reactions kept piling up, one thing became impossible to ignore. This story was no longer about immigration. It was about whether celebrities understand how different their lives are from everyone else and whether people are finally done pretending that gap does not matter. To understand why this hit such a nerve, you have to look at the bigger pattern behind it. This was not the first time an award show turned into a moral lecture, and it definitely will not be the last. For years, celebrities have used speeches to share political and social views, often using the same phrases and getting the same applause every time. And for a long while, that approach worked. But something has clearly changed. Audiences are more skeptical than before, people are struggling with money, buying a home feels impossible for many, safety feels uncertain in ways it did not used to. And when someone with a gated mansion speaks in bold terms about borders and ownership, it lands very differently than it once did. It does not feel inspiring, it feels disconnected from real life. There is also a long history of land acknowledgements being criticized as empty gestures. Many Indigenous activists have said that words without action do nothing. So when celebrities publicly agree that land was stolen but privately continue to benefit from owning it, it reinforces the idea that these moments are about feeling good, not doing good. Billie also represents a generation raised almost entirely on activist language online. Phrases like, "no human is illegal" are everywhere. The problem is that slogans flatten complex issues. Immigration, property, and history cannot be wrapped into a single sentence. And when you try to do that, the cracks show almost immediately. What really made this explode was that people were not just reacting to her, they were projecting frustration onto her. Frustration with elites, frustration with Hollywood, frustration with being told what is right by people living completely different lives. Billie became the face of something much bigger than herself, whether she wanted that role or not. Now, the question is not just whether she regrets the comment, it is whether celebrities will keep making these kinds of statements, knowing that people are no longer separating the message from the person saying it. Here is the bottom line. Billie Eilish made a statement meant to show care and awareness, and it turned into a debate about hypocrisy, wealth, and whether Hollywood actually follows the values it talks about. That is the drama in one sentence. And honestly, I do not think this came from bad intent. I think it came from carelessness, and carelessness hits harder when you are rich and famous. My take is simple. People are tired of big moral statements that come with no real cost attached. If you say something bold, people will test it, not emotionally, but literally. They will look at your life and ask if your actions match your words. And when they do not, backlash is almost guaranteed. Do I think Billie is losing her house? No. Do I think this ends land acknowledgements forever? No. But I do think this made a lot of celebrities stop and think before repeating slogans without fully thinking through what they actually mean. Because once you say land is stolen, ownership stops being just a talking point. What happens next is probably silence. Her team will wait it out. The news cycle will move on, another story will take over. But the clip stays, and the image of those gates stays too, and once people see that contrast, they do not forget it. Now I want to hear what you think. Was this blown out of proportion? Or did she invite the backlash by making such a sweeping claim? Let me know in the comments, because this conversation is clearly not going away anytime soon.